At a federal court hearing on the FBI's raid of Michael Cohen's properties, the judge ordered President Trump's longtime personal attorney to disclose this mystery third client. That client, it turns out, is Fox News host Sean Hannity. Here's what Hannity said about this on his show last night.
Michael Cohen never represented me in any legal matter. I never retained his services. I never received an invoice. I never paid Michael Cohen for legal fees. I did have occasional brief conversations with Michael Cohen. He's a great attorney about legal questions I had, or I was looking for input and perspective. My discussions with Michael Cohen never rose to any level that I needed to tell anyone.
Let's bring in Matt Schlapp, former political director for George W. Bush and chairman of the American Conservative Union. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, Allison.
Should Sean Hannity have disclosed to his viewers that he uses Michael Cohen for legal advice from time to time?
Look, I think if let's say hypothetically he were to use Michael Cohen for some serious legal issues, I think it would have been better to disclose it. But out of Sean Hannity's own mouth, you hear that he says, look, he had like this informal relationship where he asked him some real estate advice. So I think there's kind of like, I think people are enjoying talking about this in the media because obviously the other client that was made public had a problem with an affair that there was a financial payment for. By the way, I don't think that should have been made public either. I think we're getting to this repugnant place where people are enjoying the idea that people's lives are being destroyed because things are coming to light, which have really nothing to do with Russian collusion, which is what a lot of people thought, think is disgusting about politics.
I mean, guess what? Sometimes investigations lead in other directions. I think we've all learned that. And obviously, it does pique people's interests when there are big payoffs made to Playboy bunnies and porn stars. That's life. Okay, so of course this gets the public's interest.
Yes, but Allison, let's be clear. This whole special counsel was to try to determine if there was Russian collusion, not if the sexual revolution extended to Republicans and people made bad personal decisions. That is not what this is about. If it goes there, Allison, if it goes there, this is going to end very poorly politically for the Democrats.
Matt, listen,
for the Democrats and for Bob Mueller, if it goes there.
As you know, the scope, as it was written, is whatever may arise, whatever illegality may arise. So, yeah, sure, it may start with collusion, but Robert Mueller is allowed to follow the breadcrumbs towards whatever other illegality he finds. That's how it's written. That is legal.
Look, I will just say this. Rod Rosenstein said when he came to Congress that he would manage the special counsel to make sure that it just stayed on the question of collusion. Clearly, they pitched this over to the U.S. Attorney's Office in New York. I understand the difference, but once again, if this all turns into, like you said, they follow the breadcrumbs, that there are Republicans who made bad sexual decisions, and that there are people who are, popular on the right, like Sean Hannity, because they had an informal relationship with Michael Cohen. It's baffling to people. Let's talk about the collusion. What do they know? Put it on the table, and let's figure it out.
As you know, the investigation is ongoing, but they saw something that was troubling enough to refer it to the Southern District of New York. Okay, that doesn't just happen because for fun. That's not just a fishing expedition. You have to prove that you saw some sort of illegality in order to make that referral. So that's what we're in the middle of. We just don't know the answers yet. Okay, Matt, I think you know that. We don't know.
That's right.
Okay,
we don't know the answer.
But seedy things have cropped up. And I guess just in terms of Sean Hannity, here's why I ask. Because there are rules that journalists are supposed to follow, okay? We do follow full disclosure rules. We do follow the facts. We do have to be fact-based. These are the rules of journalism. And Sean Hannity, is trying to have it both ways. He says sometimes that he's not a journalist. He said, well, here you go. Let me read it to you. I've never claimed to be a journalist, he said in August of 2016. Then in October of 2016, I'm not a journalist, jackass. I'm a talk host. Then a year later, I'm a journalist. But I'm an advocacy journalist or an opinion journalist. I don't know what that means. But
let me just try to answer
I do know that his viewers must be confused.
I'm one of his viewers, and I appear on his show regularly, and he's a friend of mine. And
Is he a journalist?
I do not consider Sean a journalist. I think he views himself as someone who's had to break a lot of news on the wrongdoing at the FBI, and he has a lot of journalists on his show because he feels like there has not been enough scrutiny on James Comey and the wrongdoing at the FBI. There's been so many people at the FBI who have found themselves, contrary to Bob Mueller, who has taken action against people at the FBI who then were on his special counsel team. There's been so much wrongdoing by the director, Jim Comey, by the deputy director and acting director, Mr. McCabe, that I think Sean has felt the need to put a spotlight on it because other people aren't. And let me just say this, Allison, I mean this very respectfully. You're a well-connected person. I don't know if you consider you a journalist. I consider you a journalist.
I certainly hope you consider me a journalist.
Well,
this is
I
a
consider
news
you a
program
journalist,
that you're on. Do
but
you
you're
not
also,
know the difference, Matt?
Allison, let me finish. You have your own television show. You talk to thousands of people. You're very well connected. That is the job of everybody in television news. You should talk to as many people as you want. There shouldn't be a double standard for people who have a conservative point of view with their television
Listen,
shows.
I talked to Michael Cohen, of course. I don't go to him for legal advice. And if I did, I would have to disclose that.
Well, Sean said he did not go to him
Yes,
for
he
legal
did.
advice.
Wait a minute.
He
says he does go to him for legal advice.
He said that he had informal conversations with him about real estate, which, I mean, I don't see why that's... Why is Sean Hannity deprived of his rights as an American citizen to talk to anybody he wants about any topic he wants?
He can talk to anybody he wants, and shouldn't he have to disclose that since all since what he's been saying?
Do you disclose
hold on,
all your
let me get the
conversations?
question out. Hold on, Matt.
Okay.
He has been going after Robert Mueller. He has been going after James Comey. Wouldn't it have been helpful for his viewers when he went, bat crazy about the raid on Michael Cohen's house to be able to say, part of why I'm so upset about this is they may have seized some of my phone calls or my records. That would have been helpful information. So that you know, he says, I do have occasional brief conversations with Michael Cohen. He's a great attorney about the legal questions I had. I was looking for input and perspective.
Allison,
this is from his words, Sean Hannity's words.
Yes, I understand. As I gave you in the very first question you asked on this, if he had engaged Michael Cohen to be his lawyer on serious legal questions, I do think it would have been better to disclose it. Since out of Sean Hannity's own mouth, we're hearing that he did not feel like he had that kind of relationship. He had a more informal relationship, a friendship, where he asked him his opinion on things. And my question is back to you. You talk to thousands of people. You've probably talked to thousands of people about this very topic. I don't expect you to explain all those conversations and all those relationships. Sometimes people like myself are married to people that are involved in some of these things. This is the complicated part of humanity. You're allowed to have your individual life and your individual relationships and still do your professional responsibilities. And I don't think there should be a double standard.
There isn't. We disclose those things here. That's part of I have a 10-page standards packet right here. We disclose anything that might even have a whiff of a conflict of interest. That's what journalists are supposed to do, Matt. But we appreciate